Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Friends and Fiction Official Book Club with Brenda and Lisa. I'm Lisa and I'm here with my co-host. Guess what her name is? Brenda.
Ooh, is it Brenda?
And we are so excited for our May 2026 book club discussion of That's What Friends Are For with one of our favorite people, Wade Rouse. We know that you guys are so excited to chat with him tonight, as we are, especially since this special book is his first novel under his real name. So, without further ado, Brenda, would you like to introduce our special guest?
I would be so happy to, Lisa. So, as Lisa said, our special guest tonight is Wade Rouse, and he's the USA Today Publishers Weekly and #1 internationally best-selling author of 21 books, including 5 memoirs, 13 novels, and 3 holiday novellas. Wade's books have been translated into nearly 30 languages and have been bestsellers across the world. His novels The Secret of Snow, The Clover Girls, and A Wish for Winter have been optioned for film and TV. That's What Friends Are For, which we're talking about tonight, inspired by the classic TV sitcom Nice Lisa, The Golden Girls, marks the first novel under Wade's own name. His novel has already been named as one of 2026's most anticipated books by New York Post and Zibby Owens. Wade's previous novels were written under his grandmother's name, Viola Shipman, a pen name he chose to honor the working poor Ozark seamstress whose sacrifices changed his family's life and whose memory inspires his fiction. He earned a BA from Drury University with honors and his master's in journalism from Northwestern. He divides his time between Saugatuck, Michigan and Palm Springs, California. He also hosts, and many of our book club members are aware of this, the popular Facebook Live Literary Happy Hour Wine and Words with Wade every Thursday at 6:30 p.m. Eastern on the Viola Shipman author page, where he talks writing, inspiration, and hope. So welcome, Wade.
Howdy.
Yay!
It's so good to see you both. Thank you for having me and thank you for choosing the book as your May pick. It means the world. I appreciate it.
We love you
Oh,
so much, and we are just so excited that you took your time to chat with us for the next hour.
I
You,
know
Even though
this is
we can talk
you
to you
saw what's
forever.
going
this is
on
going to
behind
be
us, so this is a nice respite.
that's right. You can share that if anything goes flying across the screen. Um,
Exactly.
so Wade, that's what Friends Are For was such. It was just such an amazing novel. It was achingly funny, and then it was just aching in a lot of ways. So in a moment, I'd love for you to give us a summary, but I wanted to mention as we begin for book club members, please be sure to put questions in the chat for Wade and we will be on the lookout for them. And as always, we're spoiler free until 7:15, but that leaves us lots of time to dig into the story. Wade, would you give us a summary for those who are tuning in just for spoiler free time?
Sure. That's what Friends Are For follows 4 gay men over the age of 60, each of whom has a characteristic of one of the Golden Girls, which you said inspired the novel. And they live communally in Zsa Zsa Gabor's former mansion in Palm Springs, where I am right now. And just so folks know, Zsa Zsa's mansion is a real thing out here in Palm Springs, very real, very pink. And
Oh, that's awesome.
men have gone through
I love it.
everything in their lives. See, bam. They've gone through everything in their lives to kind of make it to the desert, and they formed this found family of friends where they kind of want their retirement years to be kind of a never ending happy hour. And they perform every single month as a troupe known as the Golden Gays, episodes of the classic sitcom The Golden Girls. They bring it to life for new audiences in the desert. But each is kind of harboring a secret that they don't want to burden the other men with. And they kind of keep it under wraps until one of their estranged sisters shows up on their doorstep in Palm Springs with her teenage granddaughter in tow, and everything kind of unravels from there. And it's, it's really a story of found family and friendship and loving yourself no matter what age you are.
Yes.
Oh, I love it. Well, you know what? That's a great segue, and you didn't even know it, because speaking of friendship, I have a little special message for you. Sorry
From
about
a very special friend.
from a very special friend, and I just messed it up. So let me get it back.
You got this, Brenda.
Pardon. I know.
We're live.
Just a second, live little snag, but we got it. We got it.
It's so funny. Wade's like the suspense. Like
It is. I'm like, what?
What is she gonna do?
he's like, Brenda
Okay.
did this on purpose.
Give me a thumbs up if you can hear it.
It's not playing.
All right, we're gonna do it one more time.
Well, I'm already gonna cry.
Okay.
Hi guys, Christy Woods and Harvey here. Wade, I just wanted to say I'm so excited that you are on the Friends of Fiction official book club tonight. This is so fun. I know everyone is going to love this book just as much as they love you, because you know how much we love you. And I miss you, and I hope I get to see you soon and give you a big hug. And I mean, if you wanted to invite me to Palm Springs, I probably wouldn't say no. Just kidding. Love you, Wade. So excited for you and all the success of this new novel.
Oh, that's the sweetest. Thank
Yay.
you. Oh my God. That made my week already. Thank you so much. I recorded
You are
it.
welcome.
She was saying it.
That was live too. I actually saw Christy today. She had her first appearance in my little hometown, and
Oh my
so
gosh.
yeah,
That's
that was
sweet. Thank you for pulling that off. That's
Email it to you too, so you
oh,
can have.
thank you.
yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah.
Sorry for the
We'll make sure you
technical
have
difficulties, but
Well worth
yeah,
it.
she was very excited to do it.
Thank you. Thank you. I love her too.
So Wade, just to kick us off, you gave us a little summary. I'm curious, who was your favorite Golden Girl? And as book club members, we want to hear from you too. So
Let us
who
know
was
in
your
the
favorite
chat.
Golden Girl?
My favorite was I'm a Dorothy. So in the book and in life, I really align with her because I've always sense of humor is everything to me. And growing up in the Ozarks when I did rural America in the 70s, early 80s, sense of humor was the way I kind of got people to love me, like me. And if the country boys got too mean, it was the way I could kind of cut them off at the knees too. So it's always been kind of my welcome and also my self-defense mechanism. So Dorothy, how about you two?
Lisa.
Brenda. Oh, you want me to go?
Oh, it doesn't matter.
I mean, do we really have to ask? I'm a Blanche, darling. I'm a Blanche. I love Blanche, especially now that I'm in my 40s. I'm definitely, as a single woman in my 40s, I feel like Blanche. When I was younger, I was probably like maybe a little Rose, but Blanche was always there. It just took a while for her to show up.
And you know what's funny is I think I love Rose the most. So we have 3/4 of our
We're
cast here tonight.
we're all nearing Sophia, so that's going to be next anyway.
I refuse.
Good point.
Yeah.
So we've already mentioned how this is a big departure for you in terms of, you've written memoirs under Wade Rouse, you've written fiction as Viola Shipman, which is wonderful. But did writing this novel feel different emotionally because it was under your name and because of the themes that you talked about?
It does. I think, all of my novels are personal, but this one was different in many ways. I had signed a new 3-book contract for 3 more Viola Shipman novels. And this is a book that had kind of always percolated on the back of I didn't know when I was going to write it. I didn't know what I was going to do with it. And I had all of these great proposals for the next Viola Shipman novel, and something wouldn't let me hit send to my editor and my agent when the proposals were due. And I tacked the proposal for That's What Friends Are For onto the very end of this, not thinking anyone would go for it, not thinking it really didn't fit what we were doing. And within 24 hours, my agent editor called me and said, "This is the book that you have to write. And we think it should be under your own name. You've written, you know, beautiful novels that honor your family and your grandmother and mother. This one honors you and your life." So it was very different because I didn't expect it to happen. I was honestly very, very scared. I felt a lot of responsibility to bring the lives of these men um, to readers in a real, raw, honest way that honored me and my friends and our community and our lives. And so it felt very, very different for me from the first word I wrote.
It's so good. And I
And you
love
really
that
don't. Oh,
this was the first book that the first novel that you wrote under your own name. It just made it that much more special because it is such a great story. And I
Thank you.
think, I mean, everyone loved it.
Thank you.
So,
And and
so
there's a
good.
lot, and you two know better than anyone. There's a lot of pressure when you do that, from
Mhm.
a personal, professional publishing standpoint. When you veer lanes, are sales going to be okay? Are readers going to follow? Or the loyal Viola
mhm.
reader is going to like this as well? And we had this conversation very early on. And I remember saying to my editor, readers are readers. And you two proved this, and this book club proves this. If you write a story that calls to you and you give it everything you've got, it doesn't matter the reader, they will respond to it the way that we hoped, because smart, caring folks that really want to walk in someone else's shoes for a moment. So, that I think fear is a great thing to have as a writer and as a reader too. I always tell people, go outside your genre or what makes you comfortable, and you will surprise yourself.
Definitely. There's so much love for you in the chat. I want to say there's a lot of Dorothy's, a couple of Sophias, and a Rose. I've yet to find another Blanche. Come on, Blanche.
Our blanches are out there.
Well,
I mean, maybe we can't handle more than just one.
you know what? Gary, my husband was a Blanche from the beginning, who's veered into a Rose and quickly becoming a Sophia. But I love myself. The gays love, who their favorite character always is? It's Blanche, because she owned it. And
You
that's
know,
what we do. We love that.
That's true.
have to say I can resonate with that because I have so many gay friends, but gay men love me even when if they don't know me, I always say, well, if a guy he'll come over to me and they'll be like, "Hey girl, oh my gosh, I love you." And they'll just like hug me and then someone's like, "Do you know him?" I'm like, "No, of course. I mean, he's just fabulous just like me." Like just it just happens and I feel like people know their people. You know what I mean? People know their people and they can recognize the love for people, I think. Because honestly, I feel like no one loves me more than a gay man, and I am 100% happy with that.
Beautifully said. Beautifully said.
We already have
So
some
I
quotes
take
from tonight to
Blanche.
use. One from Wade, one from Lisa.
Perfection.
I've already gone rogue. Brenda's like,
I
what's
know.
happening here?
And it's only 7:15.
Goodness. But the good thing about 7:15 is now we can talk spoilers. So yay for that. But my next question isn't a spoiler. It's actually an advanced question from Barbara. And she wanted to know if you had any input about the cover, and do you usually know the title of your book while you're writing it, or do you figure it out after you're done?
I'll start with title. And you've probably heard this before. Authors, they always say authors will lose two things in a fight. It's title and cover. Um, Title, I'll tell you the true story on this one. I wanted the title of this book, and in galleys, early galleys, this was the title. It was Thank You for Being a Friend, which
Yes.
which was the theme song of the Golden Girls. I was on a trip to Italy. Galleys were printed. I'd already had like a pre-pub event in New York. And I found out that the widow of Andrew Gold, who wrote this theme song, and a lot of other great songs, like Lonely Girl, if you remember that song from
Mhm.
like the 70s, her attorney reached out and said, "You can't use that. We've trademarked it." Now, you both also know that in publishing, you can use song titles. You can use, the first two lines of lyrics or poetry or another work, whatever it is, it's standard. But she had trademarked it, so we had to pivot at kind of a later moment in the book. And I wanted it, we had lots of great title ideas. I wanted it to have friend in the title. I was obsessed with that. So I actually got to choose the title, which stuck. I will give this to my publishing team at HarperCollins for the cover. I went to them and I said, "I love the covers you've done for me, but if there is another woman standing backward, looking off into the distance, I'm going to harm myself. Don't." And with Wade novel, please don't do that. And so
Yeah.
they hired an illustrator who hand drew the cover, and then slowly pulled it together by adding the men and the details. But it's got that kind of Stephen Rowley-esque Gunkel cover, which I loved. It's minimal, it's really pretty. So we were very involved in that. And I have to say, then I have a Christmas novel coming out October 13th called The Bluff, that's set on Mackinac Island, and the illustrator did the same cover. And it's the flip of the desert in winter, but it's so cool. So yes, I really love it.
We
Since you
we were
mentioned
going to
it,
ask you about
What?
that later, but
Dang, you two are all over it.
since you brought it up.
I do. I love it. I think it just is perfect. And this book is, and not to jump ahead, but it really is. I'm obsessed with the holiday movie, The Family Stone. So it's that
Ah,
kind of meets Succession. You talk about, I'm really taking a lot of risks now in my writing. This is 9 points of view that rotate day by day over Christmas, so that you see
wow.
the real two families that should not be brought together come together. And you kind of see the real impact on each other just when your words hurt, and what that
mm,
does to the people you love, in real time. So I'm really proud of it. Thank you for showing that. It's
Mhm.
good to see.
it's so good. We love it. We love it. So, I do have a question for you. Brenda mentioned that, or we've talked about how this was your first book under your first novel under your name. But one of the things I loved, it's raw, it's personal, it's totally um such a great story to tell. However, there was a little spice and a little language, and Miss Viola Shipman didn't have spice and language. So, how was that for you? How did you approach writing those scenes and dropping a F bomb or two? And let me say, I loved every minute of all of it. But
Thank you.
how was that for you?
Yeah,
Kind of, would you approach it the same way?
I did. It's, and I'll do you. Yeah, but Miss Viola did not bring a lot of that. I wanted to do these characters justice, and being a gay man of a certain age, like these four, like me and so many of our friends, we've gone through hell to make it to where we are today. We've fought so many battles, and it didn't come easily. It was hard earned. And when we talk, our found family, our best friends, that's how we go at it sometimes. We know each other and it can be a little raw, it can be a little too personal, but that's how we keep one another honest and how we kind of are there for one another. So it was, I think the first draft for my agent and editor was a little shocking because the jokes cut close. It can be a little mean spirited from some of the characters, but it's what is humor? Humor is really hard to write, I think. But what is humor? It comes from your soul. We react to how we've been treated most of our lives. So I did. I have to say, I wanted um, sex in this book to be real and messy and awful. Talking about like Sid, 81, who'd never been loved or really seen before. I was weeping writing his scenes with Leo. I would weep as I would write them. And Barry just eating men alive, like you, Lisa. Just kind of.
I wish.
I wanted it to be as real as I possibly could. And you couldn't really sidestep any of that. And we've all been there. We've all been through, all of this. So I wanted to be as real as I possibly could.
Well, it definitely came off very
It did.
real. And the characters, like each character, you felt for them and you wanted to know more about them. And we actually had a couple of questions that just came in, but multiple people asked this. So they would like to know if you're considering a sequel or a spin-off about any of the characters. Would you write more about these guys?
We've talked about it actually. We've broached this already because it's gotten such a positive reaction. And I have to say, it was interesting. We got a kind of this book was on the Today Show, and Kwame Alexander recommended it as a great
Yes,
book
we
pick.
love Kwame.
I have to say, I cried watching him talk about the book because he was so excited. He loved it so much. He said it's the reason he called all of his best friends to tell him he loved him. But he's the one that
Aw.
kind of has said that there maybe should be a different story to these men too, which has given me and my editor a lot of pause on how to approach it correctly. But I've thought maybe about doing something from Ava's perspective with the men.
Loved Ava.
So
I
I
loved
think
Ava too.
I really want to do this, but it has to be there. I don't want it to retread the same territory. And how you do that, I want it to be new and fresh in its own way. So yes, we're pondering ideas for the future.
Yay.
I know. It might happen.
Might happen.
Fingers
But I
crossed.
could totally see it, especially with Ava, because she's about to start a new phase of her life. Her new
Yeah.
great uncle is going to be a
Yeah.
part of her life. I'm on team sequel.
Thank you.
Yeah, me too. Me too. Brenda, did you want to ask your question next?
Sure. I wanted to talk for just a few minutes about Teddy because his story was just so, I don't know, it was so poignant because as you already discussed, these characters really came to life on the page. They had a lot of messy, things that happened to them. Were you ever tempted to make Teddy's path easier because he really struggled during the course of the novel, or did you know from the beginning where he needed to land?
I really knew from the beginning how I wanted to approach him. This book was very different than other ones I've written in the fact, and these were early conversations I had with my editor and agent too, were that if you know the Golden Girls, you know the characters, you know the women. So I didn't want the characters I was writing to be caricatures of them. What I wanted to do was take those internal traits.
Oh,
Well,
I think he's frozen.
I think he's frozen. Maybe he'll be back. in a moment.
Well, while we're waiting for Wade to come back or refresh, um, those of you in the chat, we've had a lot of you say who your favorite Golden Girl was or who you related to. Who was your favorite character in the book? Which character did you relate with?
I'm back.
Yay!
Hey, Kat,
Yay!
Okay.
I told you we're like moving around and doing so much stuff. But we have so many parallels. My life and Teddy's life, lost youth and childhood, and no first kiss and no first dates and no prom and no holding hands at the movie, and all of that builds up in a way that builds a wall over your soul and your heart. So I did more in-depth pre-writing for this book and these characters than I've ever done before. And I knew
Wow.
very intentionally where I wanted to take each of these characters, except for Sid, who I wanted to have a little bit of leeway with, um, because I didn't know exactly how I was going to handle him, and he actually ended up surprising me the most out of any of the characters. But I didn't want any of their, they're all reflections of so many of my best friends. Sid, I know a man in his 70s that's a dear friend of mine, never, married, children, grandchildren, has a wonderful facet of his life, but had never been loved or seen or loved himself. Just like Ron, we have so many single gay men friends that still hold on to that optimism and faith and family traditions, despite how their childhoods were, that everything is going to be great. So I really felt a responsibility to bring these men's lives to life. I just felt such a responsibility and joy to do it.
It was
Oh,
so well done. So well done.
I'm curious, Wade, are you when you're out there talking with readers, who are they telling you they relate to the most? And is it different generationally, like who they relate to the most?
God, that's a great question. It really is. I think my surprise is that so many people have reacted positively to Sid and to Ron. And Ron was a character that I didn't want to fall between the cracks. I didn't want him to be less than the other three because they're so big. But people have really reacted well. And this is a total aside, but that's what friends are for. There's an actress on Sweet Magnolias named Annalise Judge, and she plays
Mhm.
Annie Sullivan, if anybody's ever watched the show. She's the daughter of one of the main characters. And she has a book club called Who to Judge, and she picked That's What Friends Are For as her book club pick in April. And this is for Instagram, TikTok readers that are really 25 and under. So
Oh,
not a lot on the surface that seemed in common with her readers. And yet, as she was interviewing me and we were talking about it, she was weeping
oh,
because she connected so universally to each of these men, and kind of pieces of herself that she's kept hidden from those she's loved. And it really touched her. And her favorite out of all of them was actually Sid. So the youngest, she's 24. She liked the 81-year-old character the most because just seeing him grow and change and fall in love. And she was very fascinated by characters like she felt growing up, and you live your life going down the highway between the right lanes. You're doing everything right. How you're taught to go down, navigate the road ahead. And you reach the end of the path and you're still not happy. So what do you do in your life and in these characters' lives to to veer off course and finally maybe do something for yourself and fulfill your own destiny.
Ugh.
And
I
I
feel
do
like
have
I
to
could.
add, one of the side characters people love, I have to say universally, is Esther, which is Sid's wing woman, the 80 plus year old, firebomb.
Funky.
She's just, I love her. And people tend to universally love her too.
Well, in the chat, Stacy says, I loved Sid and Esther.
Uh,
And we have a couple of Teddies. Ron, lots of Rons.
yeah.
And we had a comment for Bubba that said, you even look great when you're frozen. Because you were frozen for a second. Which is very
Love it.
true.
Well, Bubba, this is pretty much all frozen now. So just moving forward in time, we're what's
Well,
stuck.
Edie says, how can you freeze in Palm Springs?
True. We are
It's
truly,
only
we
temporary.
told you guys we're packing up and leaving tomorrow at dawn. And I think we're like, Gary's messing with cameras that we're setting up. And so I'm sure something went right briefly. So thank you all for sticking in there.
Ah,
So, just to switch gears a little bit, we've talked about some about the friendship and the love, but this book also held up a mirror to the ugliness and hate that members of the LGBTQ plus community face. And the scenes with that crazy woman, I have to choose my words carefully, at the library attacking Sid were tough to read. She called him horrific names, pulled out the gun. I loved that he had his moment, but she was diabolical. So, what made you decide to include this, and how tough was it to write it? Like, I feel like you wrote it perfectly so that we felt it, and it could be a learning, teachable moment for so many people, but it wasn't too much and it wasn't not enough. It was just right. So, how did you get to that point to be able to write it the way that you did, if that makes sense?
It does. And thank you for saying that. I will say this. 40 years ago, when the Golden Girls came out, as I wrote on your page today, I started watching it with my mom and my grandmother long distance as a way to stay connected after I lost my brother. And we watched it like so many people to laugh. It was funny, but it ended up broaching very deep topics for the time. Things that, All in the Family and Maude did, but no other comedies have really broached in that time. And so much has changed for the gay community in 40 years, and so little has changed. We're still battling the same things that we were 40 years ago. The hate that I experienced, I still see so many experiencing around the US. And it breaks my heart because I'm tired and I'm exhausted. And yet, I can write a book like this, not as a means to preach at anyone, but as a history lesson to show how far we've come and how far we still have to go. And writing that scene was actually inspired by a friend of ours who is a twofold, really. I learned that my books, like so many other authors in the state of Florida, my memoirs have been banned in certain libraries. Very upsetting, but in a way also emboldening too. And the story of what happened to Sid outside the library was actually inspired by a friend of ours who's a drag queen in Michigan who does children's reading hours. He dresses up and he goes to read at public libraries for kids, especially a lot of lower income children who come, and the library is a safe, sacrosanct space for them. And they're also reading and studying and together and safe. And what happens, because of what's going on, and so many here in the news with drag queens and these reading hours, is nothing more than kind people go in dressed in a way that they hope will be comforting and fun for children, and they read The Hungry Caterpillar, like
Right.
like Sid is doing. And we had a dear friend that was attacked outside of a public library in Michigan,
Mm.
in a similar way. And what happened to him, which was a basis for me adding the story, was the fact that I think so many of us think, like Sid eventually does, I'm going to fight back, I'm going to do this. But what it's meant to do, and what we do in our community oftentimes, is that shame that we've experienced our whole lives um, bubbles up like lava again. And
Mhm.
we hate ourselves anew, and we disappear and we shrink, and we don't want to go out, and we don't want that to happen to us, which is exactly what the intention is of doing that. So I felt very personal. And Lisa, I have to say, the rewrites on that, I probably rewrote it a dozen times, those key
Mm.
scenes, and
I
showed it.
bet.
I'm not a big shower of my work to people, but I
Mhm.
did. I wanted people close to me to see it and feel it and make sure I was getting it right. So it was a very personal moment.
Well, I hate to hear that it was based on someone that you know, and that's someone that you love went through such a hateful act. So, what can we do? You know, the bullying, the hate has to stop. We're all humans. We all hurt, we all bleed red, we're all the same despite race, religion, sexual orientation. But what can we do? Now, in the book, that you mentioned the charity, the LGBTQ Community Center of the Desert was a way for people to donate. And I love that you included that in your book. I also want to add a charity that I support. I want to give a shout out to. It's called Point of Pride, and it's where you write handwritten letters to transgender people of support, just saying you are amazing, you are loved, you are not alone. And it's a wonderful charity, and it's called pointofpride.org. So that's one I want to give a shout out. But is there anything else, people? Obviously, if you see something, say something. But
Yeah.
what for people who want to get involved and they might not have gay friends, they might not know what to do. What can they do to try to take steps forward to a better world for all of us?
Vote. um,
Tomorrow.
and
Tomorrow is a like
it is, that's such an important question. I think, one, stop buying into the nonsense. And that's why I wrote this book, was, again, like every book I write, to show that we have more in common than we do that separates us. And yet we focus on the hate and the nonsense. And it can be anything. It can be not laughing at a joke that's not appropriate. It can be inviting someone down to your home for dinner, or calling them, or texting them, or inviting them to church, whatever it may be. It is the fact that you see someone as you see yourself and those you love. We 40 years from now, my heart breaks that I'm going to be a really old man, and I'm still going to be talking to you two on this. And, and hopefully, Bubba, I'll look the same. But we're still going to be broaching the same crap, and it's exhausting. But you don't, that's why I wrote this book, is you don't silence your voice. Every voice has the chance to save, change, improve someone's life. So use it.
so powerful.
I just want to say bravo. That was So well said.
Making
You
myself
know,
hot over here.
I don't even know if we can follow that. But um, I wanted to pivot for just a minute too, because in addition to these, illuminating friendships in the book and the very strong friendships, there's a lot of family trauma and drama.
Yeah.
Um, but I know we don't have time to look at everybody, but I really identified with Ron in the book. Um, and he gets so fed up with being the responsible one and the one who's always looking after everybody and making the lists and all that stuff. And he says, I'm not going to do it anymore. But yet, here he
Like the glue.
comes. Here he comes interfering with Teddy and his
Yes.
sister and in their relationship. But and there's a question in here somewhere. I love that, your friendships in the book got rocky because that's, life. And I love that the family drama was real. But could you talk for just a minute about, Ron's role and how in shaping that reconciliation?
Oh, that he was, he was the biggie for me because he really is the glue, but I also didn't want him to be overshadowed by the other three. And I must say that Ron is inspired by my husband, Gary. In so many ways, he does everything behind the scenes, everything. For me as an author, as a husband, he is the conduit for 50 friends. He is the social planner. He is he is the chef, the cook, the party thrower. I talk about the Church of Mary in this book that Ron does. That is Gary. We throw themed holiday and Sunday brunches for friends where you come dressed up, in bonnets and hats and fascinators that match the food. And I can see sometimes him being overlooked in my life and also in our friends' lives because and you asked me this earlier. I would say universally people relate with Ron too, because mothers, grandmothers, friends, aunts, um, volunteers, they do all of the work and rarely get a thank you for what they do. And yet they are the ones that make every day run in the best possible way. And Gary's a nosy SOB and sticks his nose into everybody's business just like Ron does. And if there is a frazzled relationship or something fraying, he will be the first one he's a fixer. I have that in there. Ron has the disease to please. That's what Gary does too. He's a fixer. And I think every friendship group has somebody like that. And, they're often too overlooked. And, that's why I had all the references in the book to like the Gretchen in the party. When you go on vacation, there's always the one that holds the purses while they take the photo. And, and yet they're the ones that probably organize the whole thing. And I loved the fact that he is me, and the fact that you still believe in the good in the world. You still have faith. You still have kind of this undying optimism that things will get better. And I loved him. I loved writing about him. I loved his arc. I loved everything about him because I worked so hard on his story and his character.
Well, it really came through, and I appreciated that Ron was the one who made the connection
Yeah,
with
me too.
Teddy and changed their whole lives, because that bit of information made all the difference.
It truly
Okay,
did.
Lisa.
So I'm gonna ask a question that I love to ask, and this specifically, I was thinking about it while I was reading, because of course this would make a wonderful movie or show series, maybe. Do you have a dream cast of actors?
That's a great question. It's I do. I see it in a variety of ways. And it's hard because I often see younger actors that I see aging into this, you know, and I don't know if people saw, I had turned this book in and there was a sitcom that came out called Mid-Century Modern with Nathan
Yes,
Lane.
I
And
loved that show.
I did too, and sadly it went under. But I could see Nathan Lane. I think he would be amazing in it. There are some older actors too that I think I would love to come back and do this as well. Um, but I do. It's always hard for me to like say out loud because we get interest and then you know how these things go and then they fade
Yeah.
away and then you get interest. So yeah, I would love to hear who people think would be great for this.
Yes, let us know in the
All right,
chat
guys. Yeah, put it in the
if you
chat.
have an actor in mind for any specific parts.
Yeah, this is not
Um,
my forte, so I'm going to let the experts handle it.
there's so many good I thought of Nathan Lane as well.
Yeah.
And but the funny thing is when I thought about that mid-century, I feel like Matt Bomer is a little young to play. But I feel like he would be a good actor. And then I love, oh my goodness, I can't think of his name. I'll have to he's a Broadway actor. It's not as popular. I'll have to come back and I'll send you a list
Thank you. And I
of
will
different
forward that on.
actors. And Ava, who would you guys cast as Ava?
That's a great
That'd be a good one.
that she would be it's somebody that's got to be somebody sassy and smart. And I have to say I put her in because I see her as the hope for the future for all of us. That generation now that truly is not seeing labels anymore and is really
Mhm.
seeing the world as it is. Just like one of my best friends, he has twins, and Gary and I are his godparents, and they just see us our whole lives as us without any labels. And that's how I see the world evolving. And that's gives me great hope.
Oh, that's fantastic. Well, this is kind of related to Lisa's question, but it's more of my speed. So if you had an official soundtrack of the novel, what songs would belong on it?
Oh my God. Well, I
Ooh.
start with it, and it's true. Like Chapel Roan, Pink Pony Club would have to be in there. The full gamut of Cher is going to be on there. We're going back to, way back to the 60s through today, all the way up to Believe. She's totally going to have to be. And I do a lot of the kind of old school ballads throughout too that I love as well that I think would be lovely too. There's a great playlist for this book.
There is? Where is
There-
it?
We did it. We put one together for it. So I'll share that with you. It's a good one.
Yes,
Oh, we
please
love
do.
that. Is Lizzo on there?
Lizzo, Mama loves some Lizzo.
Uh,
Ah,
So in the chat, we have a couple of, what is it? Okay. So Nathan Lane, a couple of people said
Yeah.
Nathan Lane, Neil Patrick Harris. He
Yeah,
would also be
ooh.
great. Mary says the guy from Sex and the City, not Stanford, the other guy, but she can't remember his name. Oh,
I know exactly who you're
I
talking
do
about.
too.
Yeah,
I do
He
not.
would be great, Mary, but I can't remember his name either. Um,
he would
oh,
be
I
good.
think Mario
Yeah,
Cantone, I think
yes.
is his name. Yes, that he would be great. I was trying to read some of these. Chris Noth, who played Mr. Big, someone
Oh
else
yeah,
said. I love Coleman Domingo, but
I do
that's like,
too.
you know how movie castings aren't always the same if they did something different.
And they
Uh,
redid like the Four Seasons. Have you seen they redid that? He is in it and is spectacular and
He's
just
good in everything that he does.
everything.
He plays Joe Jackson in the Michael Jackson biopic that's
Oh,
out right
wow.
now. And he just, I mean, oh,
Yeah, he would be
he's
good.
really good. He's
He
a good
would be
actor.
really good. And I have to say, if people love audiobooks, that I've never been prouder of an audiobook that's
Oh,
narrated by 4 different characters. They
it
are,
was fantastic.
thank you. I think they did. I got to pick them. We got to shell game them and move them
Really?
around. And one of the gentlemen that did Ron, um, he's such a great narrator, but he was the son on Father of the Bride. And he's been in so many
Oh,
things, but I thought his cadence, they were all terrific. I thought they all
they
just had
were.
perfection.
I loved, and Sid, even Sid's voice.
Even
I
said,
loved hearing Sid's voice. I mean, it was really good audio that should win an audio award.
thank you. I'm really
See,
proud of it.
see, now I want to go back and listen to the audio book
So
Totally.
good.
because it sounds fabulous. Well, I cannot believe it, but we are
Oh my
getting
goodness.
close to, we've almost been talking an hour, and I feel like we could talk another hour
We
easily.
could.
But we did want to give you a chance, Wade, to talk about, you mentioned your new novel that's coming out in October, The Bluff. Could you tell us a little bit more about it?
Yeah, it is, as I said,
Well, put it
it's
up
like
again.
it's the Family Stone meets Succession. And it
Ooh,
is, I have to say, if it's really, if you know families like this, there's one side of the family and another, and oftentimes you don't want those two to come together, especially at the holidays, for fear of what might happen. And the daughter-in-law in the book is tired of running around like crazy and keeping them separate. So she forces this to happen. And one family uh, has been a family of teachers their whole lives. The other is a very wealthy Amway-esque family that owns a beautiful compound on Mackinac Island, which is where this book is set. And all hell kind of breaks loose between the two sides. And it's probably the most ambitious novel I've written. It is 9, as I said, 9 different points of view that
wow.
rotate over 3 days at the holidays, including narration by Mackinac Island and the Grand Hotel itself. And if anybody loved the movie
But
Somewhere in Time, which is one of my favorites, Christopher Reeve, Jane Seymour, it's like considered the romantic classic of the ages. There is a storyline of one of the characters as we approach the 50th anniversary of Somewhere in Time, a romantic storyline that is part of the book as well. So really excited about it. I'm, you know, it's out October 13th, and we're actually going to start the tour on Mackinac Island, and then then
yeah,
we're coming south again too. So we're excited to do that.
really,
Yay.
Yeah,
yay!
in
So
the
we'll be
works.
looking out for tour dates later in the year for that.
Yes.
That's awesome. So what? Tell us, what else are you working on?
And then I'm working on my 2027 novel, which will probably come out in June, and it's called Lake Como FOMO, and it's about
I love
it
it.
is it
I
is
do too.
it is my first full-on rom-com. It's another Wade Rouse novel, but a younger gay character who is a bit of a grifter and ends up with a much older man who takes him to Lake Como and ends up dumping him there. And he has to pay off his bill at the Grand Promezzo Hotel and ends up falling in love with someone there. And it's funny
Ooh,
and beautiful. And I'm about 150 pages in right now, and I love it. So um,
that's
I'm very
awesome.
excited. Yeah.
Sounds like another book club.
I,
Yay.
it's,
I know.
Okay, one
I
more
will have
quick.
you back
Oh,
anytime y'all ask me to come.
we love you, Wade. You know
I love
that.
you too. I do. I hope everyone watching, and I say this every time, what Brenda and Lisa do, folks, um, they work so hard. They love books. They love authors. I just want you all to know what a gift you have with both of them, because it's
Oh,
universal among authors that we adore you and all that you do. So thank you truly from the bottom of my heart.
oh,
Oh,
Thank you so much.
thank you. We we love, as you said, we love authors and we love reading and we love our
And readers.
members. Yeah,
Yeah.
I have to ask you this before we let you go because inquiring minds want to know, what are you reading and what are you watching?
Reading. I just finished, there's a few that I've just finished. Sadiqa Johnson, The Keeper of Lost Children. It's
Oh,
fabulous, beautifully researched, little known story, and I thought she did it beautifully. I read Annabelle Gurwich's memoir, The End of My Life is Killing Me. If you don't know Annabelle,
yeah.
she's one of our great humorists in America, and she was diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer without ever having smoked in her life and has
Wow.
been battling it for 6 years. And I know this sounds weird to say, the book is hilarious. Um,
Wow. I'll
kind of
have to check
battling,
that one out.
kind of how you're
Yeah, I want to.
battling healthcare in America is not easy, especially when you're fighting for your life. Those are two
Yeah.
books I really loved. My memoir editor, named a gentleman named John Glenn, has a book out called The Lost Book of Lancelot that reimagines Lancelot's life, um, which is, I'm reading it right now and it's quite good. So a lot. I've
Ooh.
been reading and watching. My God, where do I start? I'm saving Hacks is my favorite show in ages, and I'm saving it. I'm not watching. I'm waiting to watch that. We got sucked into the Gilded Age, which I had not watched, and we're
I
now in
haven't started
season
that yet.
now in season 2, and already lost in it forever. I Somebody told us we liked Yellowstone, and somebody told us to watch The Madison with Michelle Pfeiffer, and
Oh,
I fell in love with it. She is just this, it's terrific. The writing is stunning and beautiful, and I think you would love it.
ooh,
Um,
well, writing
there's
it down.
so many. We're watching Half Man right now as well, which is a very odd series. It just, we blow through everything so quickly. It's hard to
I
remember.
fin I just finished Imperfect Women with Kerry
Ah,
Washington and Elizabeth Moss and Kate Mara,
yeah.
and it was it was good. It's one of those things where like they have twists, you know. That one's really good. And now I started watching Your Friends and Neighbors with John Hamm. I'm behind,
Yeah.
but I just started binging that and it's also good with twists. So
Yeah. And that's on my list too. That's on my list
yeah, John Hamm, I like him and
too.
he's a handsome man, so it's not hard to watch.
There's Blanche again. No. Um, wait, before you go, we definitely want to tell our book club members how to connect with you. Where can readers get a signed copy of your book or books if they don't have one already, or if they want to get one for a friend?
You can go to, and I know like in the South, I know a lot of places have them. Foxtail has some, Litchfield Books has them, Pelican Books should have some copies. But you can go to my website, waderouse.com or violashipman.com. And I have a list of places where I went on tour where I signed copious amounts of books that, so you can get an autographed copy. Or if folks want, just reach out to me and I can steer you to a store that probably has one as well.
Awesome.
Wonderful. Well, Wade, it has been such a pleasure having you on tonight. Oh, and the book was amazing. So thank you
Thank
for
you.
that and for
Thank you.
spending your evening with us.
Thank you. And thank you both as always. I'm glad you loved it. Thank you for having me. Happy Memorial Weekend, everybody. Enjoy it.
Yes. Same to you.
Thanks. You too. Take care.
Good night.
Good night.
Ah, I just
I
love
know.
him
I have
so
laughed so
much.
much.
My cheeks hurt, but
I
he's
know.
He's the best.
That was such I could have stayed on for at least easily another hour because I would love to dive into all the other characters too. But we only
Yeah.
had an hour, so
And may I just point out, I made it through the entire episode, including the hard question that was
yes,
emotional, and then him giving us that loving shout out at the end.
without
Let the record state that I made it through
I'm
the
writing it
whole
down.
episode, write down the date, and I did not cry. It was hard. I was getting a little
Oh,
choked up.
one
My voice
time,
was starting to quiver.
yeah, one time I was like, "Yep, there she goes,"
Here she
but
goes.
no, it
I was
didn't
like,
happen. But the night's
"What?
not over yet.
If I didn't cry when he did that at the end, that was so
No, I know.
sweet.
I'm just
But you
teasing
never
you.
know.
Yeah, I mean, what we think we're gonna say isn't gonna make you cry, but who knows? Um,
Oh, goodness.
Oh, thanks everybody in the book club for joining us tonight. I did want to mention a couple of dates to make sure you
Yes.
tune in. We have our next happy hour with our amazing rock star librarian, Ron Block, and a special guest on June 5th. So
I
that's
can't
a
wait for
Friday
that.
night. So we're going to celebrate happy hour on Friday night instead this time. And we'll announce our
Woohoo.
July, August, and September book club picks. And then also in June is, I'm sharing, our discussion with Christy Woodson Harvey and Summer State of Mind. And as usual, it's at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Really excited to talk with Christy about this book. Just amazing. So, really looking forward to that.
And you mentioned earlier you got to see Christy today. How was
I
that?
did. I did, and I was so excited, not just because she's such a really entertaining and amazing speaker, but just having an event right in my town was pretty amazing. And the library sponsored it, and the Friends of the Library were volunteers, and it was just so
Oh,
awesome to see.
I love that. We love our libraries and our librarians and our
I
independent
know.
bookstores. That's so cool. I'm so glad you got to see her. Um, and we also have a really cool reading challenge, if you weren't aware. The prompt for April is to read a book about, or a novel with a female detective. S Oh my gosh, we're not in April, we're in May.
We are
I
in
just said
May.
April. Is that the May prompt? See? I said I
Yeah,
did so good and I'm already
I'm pretty
messing
sure that's
up.
the May prompt. Book club members, help us out. I'm pretty sure it's
Well,
May.
whatever it is, whatever the prompt is, it's
Read
fabulous, and
it.
you have plenty of time to read whatever the prompt is.
Okay, we're yeah, Lisa, you might cry yet. Let's wait and see. Um,
Oh,
I did want to also mention tonight, we are so excited to have our bonfire store up and running all the time now,
yay!
which is a new thing. And I wanted to give you a peek at our store. Hopefully, you can see our Friends in Fiction official book club merch. We have
Yay!
t-shirts and sweatshirts and long sleeve tees and surprise totes and hats available. So be sure to check that out. And there are lots of colors in each item. They show up as mostly black and gray on the initial screen, but we've got lots of choices for shopping.
Yay! I can't wait to get a hat. Amber said in the chat that June is a book that starts with the letter S, so we can prepare for June. That we know for sure. May, the jury's
So
still
we were
out.
right with May.
I think, yes, May is the female detective. Thank you, Amber. I thought so.
That's so funny.
Okay.
I'm pretty certain
And
it's the what we said.
the female detective, there's quite a few good ones, so
Yes.
you still got time to pick out one.
And If you
And
didn't read, or if you haven't read yet our book from last month's book club, that's an excellent choice. Definitely Maybe Not a Detective, because she
I
is an
happen to
accidental
have it
detective.
right here. Loved this book. This is you could read it for the prompt and then go back and watch our book club discussion with Sarah because she was fabulous and it was such a great book. And she also did a recent cover reveal for the sequel. So that is good. And as if my silly Blanche antics haven't been enough, there's one other thing that I want to mention. Um, um, we have a buy me a coffee. So Brenda and I typically fund everything for the book club. So if you like our content and you would like to donate any amount, you could buy us a coffee. You can scan the QR code that's on the screen and donate any amount. That's greatly appreciated. We want to thank everyone who's already donated. People donated $5 for our 5-year anniversary. Believe it or not, we're coming up on 6 years in August. So $6 for 6 years
I
works
know.
too. I can't believe that. Can you believe that?
Christy said that today in the session. She mentioned it had been 5 or 6 years, and I had to stop and think. I'm like, yes, it has.
It sure has. It's crazy. I can't
Yes,
imagine not having our book club community. It was the one bright light that came out of the pandemic was
it
all
absolutely
of
was.
this
It
and all of the
absolutely was.
friends and fiction family. So
Yes, and I must say before we say goodnight, Lisa, you did make it to the end because we got through it. And I'm going to say thank you once again, book club members, for joining us, and happy reading.
we love you guys. PB and J out.